Monday Night Raw was back in the same arena that hosted WrestleMania 11 back in 1995, one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. But this was actually one of the better episodes of Raw in quite some time. Tonight we had the very first televised defense of the World Heavyweight Consolation Belt, the big gold consolation belt. Seth Rollins put the championship on the line against Damian Priest, who accepted his open challenge on social media just the other day. And they gave us what ended up being a very good main event with a little bit of a twist at the end. A little tease about some potential dissension in the ranks of the Judgment Day. We have drama with the Bloodline on Fridays. Now it appears we may have some drama with the Judgment Day on Mondays. And also, looks like we might be heading into a Finn Balor-Seth Rollins championship match at Money in the Bank. That's kind of the picture they painted at the end of the show tonight. So there was some good wrestling on this show tonight. None better than the banger that we got between Gunther and Kevin Owens. Non-title, was not the Intercontinental Championship on the line in that match. But they had a hell of a match. And hopefully at some point we get to see the two of them run that match back again. Not the ideal finish. There actually was one thing about the match I wish I could change. But they had a hell of a meeting in the ring tonight. I believe it was their first ever singles match, if I'm not mistaken. Or certainly in WWE at least. It was. We also had Money in the Bank qualifiers on this show. 2 women's qualifiers with Becky Lynch taking on Sonya Deville and Zoey Stark taking on Natalya. I'll give you one guess as to who is moving on to London next month in the ladder match. And, of course, I mentioned that they were in the same building as WrestleMania 11. That, of course, was in Hartford, Connecticut. They were in Connecticut tonight. You know what that means. Oh, yes. Indeed, it is Vince Watch. It is Vince Watch. Vince McMahon was backstage at the show. Thankfully, though, this time, he did not meddle too much in the show. I didn't see anything about him changing things wholesale at the last minute. I guess we'll find out tomorrow what he may or may not have stuck his fingers in here. But they were very close to the corporate headquarters, so not all that shocking that Vince McMahon would come out of the weeds. Remember, he said, I'm not going to be in the weeds like I used to be. He emerged from the weeds. I don't know what he was doing tonight. But this did not strike me as a show that had his fingerprints all over it. I'm sure this something got changed here and there. But again, this is one of the better episodes of Raw, frankly. This did a better job of holding my attention than most of the shows that we have gotten since WrestleMania. So that at least is a good thing. We will cover the entire thing. It is Monday, June 5th, 2023, and this is your WWE Monday Night Raw review here on the Solomonster Sounds Off channel. So very happy that you have chosen me for your Raw coverage. I thank you. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Would love for you guys to stick around. Also, hit the like button. The goal tonight for Be the Booker is 450 likes. If we get 450, we will do Be the Booker later on in the stream. Super chats are open, including it's a brand new $40 drop that was making quite a number of appearances on the stream on Friday. So that is in the description down below for those who are interested. I have to give a shout out here, even though I did at the very end of the stream on Friday, but JM, who's all over that stream on Friday night, dropped a $150 super chat after the stream ended. You know how the chat is still live for a few minutes when the stream is over and then it dies? It must have been like minute 4, right? The stream had already been over and I just happened to be still hanging around, and then boom, I saw the red box and I said, my God, JM. So I wanted to make sure I gave him a shout out here on the Monday stream. That is the latest that any big bomb like that has come. I don't know if he's here tonight, but JM, thank you. And applications are open for the Green World Order.
GWO.
All those green names you see in the chat are channel members, and you can become a channel member as well. In fact, I would love for you to consider becoming a channel member. And one of the perks of channel membership, well, actually, there's multiple perks, but one of the perks of channel membership, first of all, we have some brand new emojis. So if you were in the live chat, including some raw emojis, hat tip to Steve Mello for his help with these. So go ahead and feel free to use those. But a brand new episode of Sound Off Gamer, you can tell by this thumbnail how happy you can tell how this episode went, just based on the thumbnail here. New contract, same old shit. That is up right now, early access for channel members. So go check out the latest installment of Sound Off Gamer. But I also have to give a very hearty thank you, because the other night I put this graphic up. I logged into my YouTube dashboard, and it's like a game. It said new achievement. It said you hit 700 members. And then I logged in the other day, and wouldn't you know, you hit 800 members, it tells me. It says your memberships are skyrocketing. Look at that little rocket there. I love the artwork. And that does not happen without the help of some of you who have been very kind and have gifted many, many channel memberships to people here on this channel, especially Silver Tower, who I think just did it again. And indeed he did. Silver Tower just gifted 10 memberships. Hey, Paul Hamilton gifted 10. I didn't forget about you, Paul. And we had a few others as well. Who was the other pro? Fire Panda. That's right. Fire Panda with at least 5 so far tonight. So, I mean, hell, we went from 700 to 800. I'd love to get that to 900. I would love to get that to 900. Then we get to open up even more emojis. So again, I can't thank you guys enough. That is incredible. Those are pretty incredible numbers. So had to take a couple of minutes here at the top of the stream to say thank you. I also want to just let everybody know, since Fire Panda mentioned this in the chat earlier on, Fire Panda, of course, is a friend to all of us. And Fire Panda is putting her dog Cooper down on Friday, unfortunately. I don't know the circumstances around it, but that is a very shitty experience when one has a pet and has to do that. So thinking about you, Fire Panda. Again, it's tough. It's going to be a shitty day, but we're all thinking about you. So again, thank you for all the support. And Thomas, thank you for the gifted membership as well. World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins with his big gold belt on his way to the ring to open the show tonight. We kicked off Raw with Rollins in the ring. He said that he has had a non-stop party since winning that championship. In the midst of it all, he said that he wondered when the last time was that there was a world championship match on Raw. Now, when he threw this open challenge out on Twitter the other day, he mentioned Big E being the last person to defend, I guess, a world championship. That would have been the WWE title on Raw, which he said was in November of 2021. So it's been a long time since we've had a world championship defended on television here on Monday Night Raw. Almost 2 years. And he said that that's too damn long. So he was interrupted by the Judgment Day, but just 2 members, Finn Balor and Damian Priest. And Rollins was wondering, where Rhea Ripley was, where Dominic Mysterio was. Are they going to attack me from behind? Is this a setup? And they explained, Priest said that Ripley and Dom have their own business to tend to tonight. And the only person Rollins should be worried about is him, because that is our main event on this show. Priest said that Rollins is a deserving champion with a resume that speaks for itself. He said Rollins has beaten pretty much everybody he's ever been in the ring with, but so have I. Oh, really? I think Bad Bunny might have a little something to say about that. Have we forgotten? Has it been that long since we did the bunny hop at Backlash last month? It hasn't been that long. It's been a month. Almost exactly 1 month to the day, in fact. That Damian Priest lost to Bad Bunny. So I call bullshit on that. Priest said that he doesn't need the other members of the Judgment Day to beat Seth Rollins. Terrence dropping 5 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, Terrence. Rollins said that Priest doesn't stand a chance against him if it's just the two of them. And he challenged Priest, put your money where your mouth is, right? You're going to get a world championship match tonight, but how about we do this? Since you're so confident that you don't need the Judgment Day to help you win, how about you keep your boys in the back? And girls. Keep the Judgment Day in the back, right? Effectively, they're banned from ringside. And Finn Balor didn't like this very much. He was very upset. He says Rollins does not get to make the rules, and Priest cut him off. He cut off Balor and said, no, I accept. He accepted Rollins' terms, and Balor was noticeably upset by this. So this was the first indication. It was brief, but this was the first sign of maybe some trouble in paradise brewing between the members of the Judgment Day. Of course, we would see this play out again later on at the end of the show. Rollins made a crack in here, by the way, about beating Balor and hurting him in their match at SummerSlam many years ago. That also upset Balor. And Rollins said, well, no matter how you slice it, my title reign is already longer than Balor's was. That was the segment. I am still puzzled by why they booked Damian Priest to take the losing fall in that tag team match last week from Seth Rollins. If they had any inclination that they were going to book Priest in a championship match against Rollins this week, then why would they do that? And the only conclusion I can come to is that a week ago they had no clue that this was the match they were going to book for tonight. Otherwise, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We had our first of 2 Money in the Bank qualifying matches, both women's matches, on this show. Becky Lynch, one-on-one here against Sonya Deville, who had Chelsea Green in her corner. It was only a couple of minutes into the match when Trish Stratus and Zoey Stark walked out on stage to observe. Becky was briefly distracted by this, but she fought off Sonya. Sonya hit a superplex after a commercial break. Becky fought back. She got booted, though, by Chelsea Green outside the ring as Sonya was distracting the referee. And Sonya followed with a running knee strike. So Chelsea Green tried to get involved again. Becky decked her, tossed her repeatedly into the barricade. Back inside, Sonya countered a manhandle slam into a schoolboy for 2. She tried to cover with an assist from Chelsea Green outside. Becky still kicked out. And this is very awkward because this was a moment here where it looked as if the referee was going to maybe eject Chelsea Green from ringside. And instead, like, the announcers got quiet. Everybody was just sort of standing around for a few seconds, and nothing happened. So I'm not quite sure what that was about. I'm not sure if there was some sort of miscommunication. Again, I'm not sure. It was just a very awkward moment here. Becky followed that a couple of moments later with a manhandle slam and got the win. So no surprise there. Becky Lynch qualifies for the Money in the Bank match. You know, they want star power in the match. Becky Lynch is a star in that division. She's one of the top female stars in that company. If they want star power, then you put Becky Lynch in that match. Sonya Deville does not have star power. We got a recap of the Bloodline angle from SmackDown, the end of SmackDown on Friday night. I don't know how many of you saw the SmackDown ratings when they came out. Hey, Ryan, thank you. I love you too, brother. I don't know how many of you even care about the ratings, but when the SmackDown ratings came in, they did a big number this week, like 2.5 million. But that final quarter-hour segment, which was the entire Bloodline segment, the Roman Reigns 1,000-day celebration, did just shy of 3 million viewers. It's been a long time since a WWE segment did 3 million viewers. That's a lot of people. I know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that would have been a disappointing number. But these days, you do 3 million viewers, that's a lot. And I like it when they're rewarded for good television. I really do. So many times over the years, WWE would give us an episode of Raw that was dog shit. And the numbers would be up from the week before. And I can never make heads or tails over it. I just couldn't understand it. Like, objectively, these shows, in a lot of cases, were just god-awful. but a lot of times they would pop a big number, but then you would look and then it would go up, it would go down. I like it when WWE or any wrestling company is rewarded for good television. And the fact is that the Bloodline is the best part of the entire show. The Bloodline is quality television. The story is still going. The story is still compelling, right? It's going through different twists and turns. You don't quite know which direction it's going to go in, or even if you do, right? The performances, especially by Jey Uso, have been tremendous. Well, Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, they've all done a tremendous job. So I was very happy when I saw that they did a good number because I thought that segment was fantastic. Now back live, Byron Saxton was in the back with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and he wanted to get their opinions on what happened during the Bloodline segment on Friday. What are your thoughts about what happened with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa and Jimmy and Jay? Sami said that, well, I'm not one to say I told you so, but he was glad to see Jimmy Uso do the right thing. That being said, the Bloodline wasn't his problem anymore. And that's when he was interrupted by Imperium. Ludwig Kaiser said that Sami was right. Imperium was their problem now. Owens freaked out on them again. This is his new gimmick now, where Kevin Owens just loses his shit. And he starts ranting and raving and screaming and talking really, really, really fast. Like, that's his new thing now. So, I blame Elias's brother for sending him off the deep end. I don't think he ever really recovered from that. What was Elias's brother name? What was the brother's name again? I already forgot. It was Elias, right? Elrod was the brother that we never saw, but Owens mentioned Elrod one week. I'm blanking on the brother's name. It was Elias. Ezekiel. There we go. I briefly forgot the name of the brother. Is Ezekiel still in the hospital, by the way? I heard he was in a coma. I hope he's doing well. So then, as this is going on, Gunther shows up. And Gunther says that Owens can't control his temper, clearly. And he said that Owens lacks discipline. And he offered to teach him some discipline. Owens told him, you know what? We could do it in the ring. And he marched off in a huff on his way to the ring. So we got a vignette after this with Caden Carter and Katana Chance, who, for those who don't know, women's tag team drafted from NXT, has yet to make, or up until tonight, had yet to make their Raw debut. So we got a video here focusing on their athletic backgrounds, and of course they made mention of the fact that Chance was on what was that show? American Ninja Warrior many years ago. That was her big claim to fame. So they mentioned all of that. It's a very good video package. And they are, for those who don't know, they are one of the few legitimate teams on the women's side in WWE. They were singles stars, unaffiliated with each other. They got paired up. I don't know if that was WWE just saying, hey, you're a team now, or if they sort of went to management and say, hey, we would like to become a tag team. I don't know how they got started, but they were singles. They got put together, I guess, as a tag team 4 years ago. So these two women have been a tag team for 4 years, and if you watched any of their recent work in NXT over the past year, they're a pretty well-oiled machine. You know, we don't get to, unfortunately, these days as much as in the past, see a lot of real tag team, like tandem wrestling, where they have multiple moves that they do together, and we see that consistently from these two, right down to their finish. They work really well together as a team. And I think it's a damn shame that WWE has neglected the women's tag team division as much as they have, and they just don't have a lot of competition. They just don't have, it's what Ronda Rousey talked about in the New York Post last week when she was shooting, basically what she was doing, shooting on the dismally shallow, as she said, WWE women's division. And a lot of what Ronda said in that interview, whether she was working some of her comments or not, because, you know, there were comments in there also about how, you know, there's nobody as good as us, and you could kind of tell what the worked comments were, but a lot of the other comments she was making about the number of women in the division and all trying to work together and we need better stories, that's a shoot. I mean, that's the truth. A lot of people have been saying that, not just Ronda Rousey. So it's a shame, because I think that their ceiling as a team is very low. They've been together for 4 years. I mean, if they stay together as a team for another 2 or 3 years, I mean, what are they going to do? Maybe they win the women's tag team titles at some point, but their ceiling is very low if they want to really accomplish much of anything in this company. Either that or WWE has to wake up and start putting the work in to really beef up that women's tag team division. So after a break, we got Kevin Owens one-on-one against Gunther. This was a non-title match. So the Intercontinental Championship not on the line. When Gunther took his jacket off in the aisleway, I don't know how many of you pay attention to this sort of thing during the entrances, but when he does this thing where he takes the jacket off and Giovanni Vinci is behind him to, if you're watching, to the left. Ludwig Kaiser is behind Gunther to the right. He flicks his jacket off, and almost in just one fluid motion, Kaiser behind him grabs the jacket, and he's like twirling it. But it's like the way that it was so smooth, the way that they did that. And that's not the first time that he's done that. They've done this before. I just thought that was cool. Kaiser is great. Ludwig Kaiser is great. And Kaiser's also happened to be some of my favorite roles as well. Shout out to Max. Thank you very much, Max. I did get your super chat earlier. I very much appreciate it. So thank you. Have a very good night. Gunther cut Owens off with a boot early on here in this match and a big German suplex. Through the break, it was all Gunther. He was beating the holy hell out of Kevin Owens here. He just broke him down piece by piece. Owens tried for a senton bomb during the break. Gunther, though, got his knees up. Owens smacked Gunther. Gunther, though, just booted him again. He would try to make a comeback, and each time, Gunther would just knock him down. Gunther chopped Owens, and Corey Graves noted how loud it still was, even though Owens still had a t-shirt on. And you could still hear that sound. Flesh, smacking flesh, even through the shirt. Gunther applied a Boston Crab. He transitioned into a crossface. Owens fought to his feet, hit a chop. Gunther just knocked him down with a chop of his own. Look, a Walter chop is very different than a Kevin Owens chop. Owens battled back with clotheslines. Gunther, though, hit another German suplex. Owens ducked a clothesline, hit a German of his own. They traded strikes, but a Gunther chop was again too much for Kevin Owens. Owens came back with a trio of super kicks and a cannonball for two. Gunther blocked a stunner. He had a front drop kick. Owens came back, and Gunther then suplexed Owens off the middle rope. Tried a splash. Owens, though, got his knees up and hit a senton bomb for a near fall. That the crowd got hot for. Not that the crowd wasn't into the match, but that near fall really kind of brought them up a couple of notches there. Owens set up for a stunner, but he was distracted by Giovanni Vinci on the apron. Zayn pulled Vinci off the apron and fought with him. Meanwhile, in the ring, Kaiser got in the ring. Owens saw him. Owens gave Kaiser a stunner. And the distraction allowed Gunther to schoolboy Kevin Owens for the win. I'm not a fan of Gunther resorting to a roll-up finish out of desperation. But that's my only nitpick of this entire thing. I thought that this was excellent. And all due respect to Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is great. All due respect to him. Gunther is just special. He's just, you have your wrestlers on the roster, and there is a sameness to some of them. Others, have a different personality. Maybe some are more charismatic than others, right? Everybody has something that kind of makes them stand out, some more than others. But Gunther he's a different kind of breed when it comes to pro wrestlers. It's like he's a throwback to another era. We don't have very many people who look and sound and wrestle like him, which is one of the reasons why he stands out so much. That and the fact that I have yet to see a bad Gunther match, whether it's in NXT or on the main roster. Never, not once. Some are shorter than others, but I've never seen a bad match that he's been in. You can always count on him going in there and having a good match or having a great match. regardless of who he's in the ring with. We know Kevin Owens is a great worker, right? You would have to be pretty bad to go in there and have a bad match with him too. But Gunther's got all the tools. That's why I keep saying by WrestleMania next year, he will have that big gold belt on Monday Night Raw. He'll be the world champion. He's already outgrown the Intercontinental title. At this point, they're just running out the clock to get him to break the Honky Tonk Man's record. That's it. It's the only reason why he is still the Intercontinental Champion. Right now, they're in this mode now where they're all about records and breaking records, right? So Roman Reigns, 1,000 days. He didn't break any records, but they'll talk about it as a big deal. It's 1,000 days. Hasn't been done in almost 40 years, right? Okay, great. We have Gunther now. We had Bianca Belair up until just recently, 400 some odd days as the Raw Women's Champion, the longest Raw Women's Champion of all time. They're in this mode now where they're trying to break records. And when that record falls, which it will, I think September 7th or September 8th is the date, not long after that, he will drop the Intercontinental Championship and he will move on to bigger and better things. But before that, I would like to see these two back in the ring together at some point. I don't really care how it happens, but I would like to see a part 2 between these two men because this was an excellent match. This was the best match on the entire show. So after a break, Matt Riddle was in the back with Kathy Kelly, and he told Kathy that he was tired of watching Gunther cheat. Kaiser and Vinci showed up. They told Riddle to watch his mouth. Kaiser started pushing Riddle around like, what are you going to do about it, right? He's putting his hands on Riddle. So Riddle threw him over an equipment case. Then he took Vinci down and put him in an ankle lock until a bunch of suits ran over to break things up. I saw Shane Helms in there. It's always nice to see the more serious side of Matt Riddle. We got that heading into the Fight Pit match at Extreme Rules last year with Rollins. Remember that great split screen segment they did? And Rollins was going in on Riddle's family situation at the time. Your kids don't even want to see you. And we saw a side of Matt Riddle that we have never seen before and have not seen since. But every time we get a little glimpse at the more serious side of him, I enjoy that. And as far as what they did here with Owens and Zayn and the way they left that, I don't think they're coming back with Gunther and Owens on television soon, but I do think they could be setting up for a tag team title match at Money in the Bank. It could be Owens and Zayn defending against Imperium. We saw that match already. Might have been like a week or two after after WrestleMania. Might have been the night after WrestleMania, now that I think about it. But I don't know that was for the championship. It might have been. I can't remember if the titles were on the line. But it felt to me like that's the match they're setting up for. They're setting up for Owens and Zayn against Vinci and Kaiser, and Matt Riddle challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental title, which that is a match that it may have happened at least once in Evolve. Because all those guys were there around the same time. Walter, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle. I'm trying to think if I'm almost positive that, Walter and Riddle probably worked together in Evolve. Or if not Evolve, that they've worked together at least a couple of times before. So if they do that match of Money in the Bank, I think that'd be a very good match. So after this, it was over to Byron Saxton, again, in the back. And he was with the brand new Women's Tag Team Champions, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Ronda said that it's time they legitimize these tag team titles. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, Ronda. Good luck with that. You got one of those little genie lamps you get to rub. You get 3 wishes. Please. They're going to legitimize, they said, the tag team titles. They invited any team who had the balls to challenge them to step up. Well, it's a great thing that Caden Carter and Katana Chance just so happened to be standing right there, because not 2 seconds later, they walk into camera frame. First time, by the way, they've been on Raw since they were drafted. They walked over to let them know that they would be willing to take them up on their challenge. And Ronda said that she admired their stupidity. Baszler said that I wouldn't call it stupidity. I think bravery might be a better word for it. And she said that the thing about bravery is that usually It ends quickly with the sound of ligaments being torn from your body. And Rousey said that it would be baptism by fire, and they would let Adam Pearce know about their death wish, and they would see them in the ring. That must have been an awfully quick conversation with Adam Pearce, because they immediately hit Ronda Rousey's music, and out to the ring they went. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler out to the ring. They went to commercial. So when we came back, it was Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler against Kaden Carter and Katana Chance in a tag team match scheduled for one fall, but no mention of this being a tag team championship match. But apparently somebody forgot to clue in the person running the social media account for WWE on BT Sport, whoever runs the Twitter account, because when this match was over, they made a post that said, "and still." Yeah, and still. When the titles aren't on the line, yeah, and still. No shit. So, after the break, right, I said Ronda and Shayna are coming down to the ring. They go to a break, and they come back, and they're standing in the ring. And Kevin Patrick is on commentary, and he claims that Ronda Rousey went and spoke to Adam Pearce, who has made this match official. When? When did Ronda Rousey do this? Are you telling me that she came down to the ring, we went to commercial, she left the ring, went to the back, talked to Adam Pearce, and then came back to the ring? That would make no sense. Why would she go to the ring first? Why wouldn't she go find Adam Pearce? Does she carry an iPhone in her trunks at all times? That must be very uncomfortable. Especially if you have like an OtterBox or something. That probably doesn't feel too good. Did she have a phone on her? Did she call him from the ring? Would it really have been that difficult to stick some other segment between the backstage segment and the start of this match as the buffer, to at least pretend that there was an actual conversation between Ronda Rousey and Adam Pearce? I know it's a minor thing, but it just bugs the shit out of me. You know, there's just no thought given to it. It's very stupid. So Rousey caught Chance in an armbar over the ropes. Carter was outside on that side of the ring at the time. So while Rousey is hanging upside down trying to break her partner's arm, Rousey got super kicked right in the face, and that broke the hold. Carter returned to the ring, and she hit a top rope dive onto Baszler on the floor, and then Katana Chance followed that up with a corkscrew dive over the top rope that wiped out Ronda Rousey. Back inside, Chance made a blind tag before Carter avoided a charging Ronda Rousey, who ended up posting herself shoulder first in the corner. The challengers hit their after party. They call it the after party. They're a bunch of party girls. That was their gimmick in NXT. Even when they came out on the show, if you looked at the lower third where it gave their names, they had these animations. I guess it was like DJs, like dancing around. They're just a couple of party girls. So they call their finish the after party. Basically, it's Carter holding the opponent in like a neck breaker position at the same time that Katana Chance does a 450 splash off the top rope. Again, tandem offense. They have an actual tag team finish. And this was really the point in the match that the crowd came alive. And again, it wasn't like a big mega reaction or anything like that, but it was very noticeable that the crowd came alive here for this finishing sequence. They didn't win the match, but for the move and then the near fall, they came alive for this. The problem is that clearly Shayna Baszler was supposed to break up the cover and, pull Katana Chance out of the ring. She was late, and Ronda had to kick out of the finish. So, not ideal to have Ronda Rousey kicking out of their finish on their first night, but I don't think that was the intent. I think the intent was for Shayna to break up the fall first, but it looked like she was late to the draw. Late to the draw there. Which happens. Sometimes people are late. You can't control whether, where your partner is. They have to be Johnny on the spot. Sometimes they're not. It's funny. It makes me think of a match. It's just funny how these random matches come to me. One of my all-time favorite matches on Raw was Steve Austin and The Rock It was the night after Survivor Series in 98 when Rock joined the corporation. And he won the tournament, the Deadly Game tournament, to become champion. And they did the title match on Raw the next night. And I want to say they were in Oklahoma or Louisville, maybe Oklahoma City or something. I don't know. But that crowd was just molten hot. Molten. I mean, this was Austin in his prime, right? So, I mean, molten hot. And I remember the finishing sequence of that match like it was yesterday, because Austin hits the stunner. The crowd is going absolutely bonkers. And he covers the Rock. And the spot was Ken Shamrock, who's part of the corporation. He's going to reach in and pull Earl Hebner out of the ring before he counts 3. And he does. But if you go back and watch it, Rock still kicked out of the stunner, because I think he feared that maybe Shamrock was either late or he was going to be late. So even though Rock wasn't supposed to kick out of the stunner, because back then, who kicked out of the stunner back then? Rock still got a shoulder up and kicked out, right? My point is, shit happens. So I don't blame Ronda Rousey for that, but it is what it is. So Ronda got an ankle lock on Katana Chan. She rolled out of the hold, hit a code breaker that sent Rousey into her corner. Baszler tagged herself in, missed Carter tagging in, did not see that. Carter rolled up Baszler for a 2 count. Baszler put Carter down, though, and applied the Kirifuda clutch and got the tap out for the win. This was good. This was a very good debut, I thought, for Carter and Chance that could have easily gone the other way. First night in, they're already wrestling the tag team champions who just won the titles the week before. Clearly, Ronda and Shayna are going to be the dominant force in that women's division. And it would have been very easy for them to go in there and squash these 2 women who very few people probably in the crowd in Hartford have ever seen. I don't know how many people they had at Raw tonight, if it was 10,000 or 7,000, however many people were in there. How many of those people do you honestly believe watch NXT week to week and know who Caden Carter and Katana Chance are, right? Not the vast majority. I can tell you, I don't know the exact number, but I can guarantee you it's not the vast majority of those people. And they went out there and they had the chance to get their shit in. Ronda and Shayna, they took a lot of their offense. Ronda took their finish. And they kind of got over. They got a little over in that match. First night in. So that's a good sign. But the problem is what I mentioned before. The problem still is that there's only going to be so many opportunities for these 2. Unless WWE starts taking this stuff seriously and trying something to rehab this women's tag team division that really doesn't exist, I just think, again, the ceiling for them is right here. What are they going to do? They're going to keep facing the same teams over and over again every single week? That's going to get old very fast. Bronson Reed walked up to Ricochet, who was backstage at the gorilla position. He was doing some shadow boxing, as I do every other night before I go live here on YouTube. Solomonster sits here, I shadow box. So Bronson Reed walks over to him. And he thought it was very amusing that Ricochet was in Money in the Bank and he wasn't. Ricochet said that he earned his spot by beating a 2-time Grand Slam champion in The Miz, while Reed had his undefeated streak ended by Shinsuke Nakamura. Reed was about to say something until Nakamura showed up to remind him who won last week. Reed said that the result would be different next time, and then he left. And Ricochet said that he would give Nakamura a loss tonight and at Money in the Bank. And Nakamura told him to prove it in the ring, because that match was coming up next. But before that match, we got a video package. You'll notice that we've gotten more of these, right? I said this weeks ago that Shawn Michaels very fond of these vignettes. We see a lot of them in NXT. Not as many of them on the main roster. And ever since, we've been seeing them quite a bit, which is necessary because they called a bunch of people up in the draft. So we have to get more video packages. Or if somebody is off television for a while, if somebody is hurt, they're going to be reintroduced. Unless you're going to have them on the show as a surprise, put together a video package for them. Johnny Gargano got a video package tonight. Johnny Gargano has not been on Raw very often. He had that shoulder injury. I don't know if he's still dealing with the shoulder injury. Apparently not, since he's on his way back. But in the video, he talked about how people have always looked at him and kind of looked down on him, and he's always been looked at as the underdog. He spoke about how he had a dream, and he traveled the world for 10 years in pursuit of that dream. He said he got a chance in NXT, and they even had footage of him on, I guess, what would have been day one, doing drills in the ring at the Performance Center. I'm John Gargano, and he's doing rolls. So they spliced that footage in there. He said that when he first got there, though, he was told that they didn't have a place for him. And 5 years later, he was the face of the entire brand. And now he says he's a staple of Monday Night Raw. He thrives when he is underestimated, and his story is just getting started. I guess you could say that Johnny Gargano is on his way back to Raw. Ricochet against Shinsuke Nakamura, two men that have already qualified for the Money in the Bank match. They were having a good match, I thought, until the finish. Nakamura set up for the Kinshasa. Ricochet, though, stuffed it with a knee strike and then hit the recoil. Ricochet went up top. Nakamura, though, cut him off with a punch. Went to the middle rope. So both men are on the ropes. And they're trading forearms. Nakamura drops off the ropes. Bronson Reed runs in. You could hear the crowd was starting to stir. So somebody was coming out. We just couldn't tell who. It was Bronson Reed. And Reed splashed Nakamura in the corner for what should have been a disqualification. I don't think anything was ever announced. My guess is they just threw the whole thing out, and it's probably just a no contest. After the match, Reed splashed Nakamura again. Ricochet climbed onto Reed's back. Reed, though, put him down. And he was laying on his stomach. And Reed went up top and hit the Tsunami Splash. And he squashed Ricochet in the middle of the ring. And the crowd was so incensed by this. The crowd was so devastated to see babyface Ricochet assaulted like this that they chanted one more time. Bronson Reed, he did not give them what they wanted. Bronson Reed left the ring and he went to the back. So with any luck, they'll do one of these second chance qualifiers. They usually do this, I think, right? They have the second chance qualifying matches with a lot of the losers who already lost their qualifying matches. One lucky person gets to qualify in the end. With any luck, it'll be Bronson Reed. He can find his way. He can still find his way into the Money in the Bank match that way if they do that. Then we had a Miz TV segment with Cody Rhodes in a suit with his titanium cast on his arm. Miz said that Cody looked dashing tonight, which sounded like it went over everyone's heads in the building except for Cody. So he brings up Cody's promo last week. He says it's stupid to challenge Brock Lesnar. Cody calls him Mike, and Miz says, in this ring, I'm the Miz. And so Cody called him The Miz for the rest of the segment, which was kind of amusing. He said, well, The Miz. He did that a few times. He said Brock is apparently hibernating, so we're not going to see him for a while. Yeah, he's gone back. Brock has gone back into his cave. So I don't think that we're going to see Brock. We might not see Brock at all in the month of June. Probably not going to see Brock, honestly, until Money in the Bank. So Miz surprised Cody here by introducing his real guest. He has another very special guest here on Miz TV. Someone he said shares the same attributes as Cody, and that man was Dominic Mysterio, who came out with Rhea Ripley. Dom tried to speak. He was immediately drowned out by the crowd. He tells Cody that to him, a man who has done hard time, Cody is just a little birdie with a broken wing. You watch Cody go over this long list of crappy towns where he's going to be and Brock can find him. And at that point, Dominic realized that Cody is a bad father. He's got a baby girl at home, and yet he's going out on the road, going to all these cities. Said, you should be at home, but instead you're here. Just like Rey Mysterio, you are a deadbeat dad. Cody didn't like that. He stood up out of his chair. He said that, I got to ton of empathy for Dom. He knows that those 15 minutes that Dominic spent in prison was really rough on him. Said hard times indeed. He even has a worse prison tattoo than he does. He said after prison, Dominic went on to WrestleMania to have a match, but it was more like a public spanking. He said nobody is perfect, not even Rey Mysterio, someone he has an infinite amount of respect for. Even Rey Mysterio has made some terrible mistakes, and he knows that because he's looking at one. That was a good one. That was a good burn. That was a good burn. So Dominic and Rhea went to go walk away. Cody turned his back to them, and of course, Dominic saw that. He snuck up behind Cody. When Cody turned around, Dominic smacked the taste out of his mouth. And then Dominic, the little shit that he is, goes and hides behind Rhea. So Cody comes over. Cody sees Rhea. Well, he can't do anything. Rhea's like, go ahead, hit me, hit me, hit me. She's hitting herself. Cody's not going to hit a woman, of course. Not if he wants to run for office one day, he won't. I think Cody has other aspirations in life. He has to consider these things. He can't run for office one day and have footage of fucking Raw of him decking Rhea Ripley in the face. That's not going to work. It's not going to be good for his image. So, of course, Cody didn't hit Rhea. Instead, he turned around and he whacked Miz in the head. He clobbered Miz in the head with his cast, and down went Miz. I thought it was a fun segment. With Brock not being around, we're going to get a lot of segments like this with Cody, doing other random things until Brock is ready to come back. They're not doing the third match until SummerSlam. We know that now. There will be a third match between Cody and Brock. That match is not going to happen until SummerSlam, so we got a ways to go. We got 2 months. I think it's actually 2 months from today is when SummerSlam is taking place. So what does Cody do then at Money in the Bank? I think we just found out. Seems to me like they're setting up Cody against Dominic for Money in the Bank. And if that's the case, Cody's probably going to lose when Brock Lesnar interferes and costs him the match. Cody could lose to Dominic at Money in the Bank. Dominic could very well pin Cody Rhodes. And he'll never live that down if that happens. Dominic, we're never going to hear the end of it if Dominic Mysterio pins Cody Rhodes and Money in the Bank. Now, I don't know how many of you noticed, but when this segment was over, Cody's wife, Brandy, went on Twitter and she tweeted at Rhea Ripley. She didn't tag her, but she was basically tweeting at Rhea Ripley. And she said, Papa won't hit Mommy, but Mommy will. Uh-oh. Throwing down the gauntlet. Brandy Rhodes throwing down the gauntlet for a mixed tag or singles match. Rhea Ripley against Brandy Rhodes. I think social media would implode if that were to happen. So we had our other Money in the Bank qualifying match with Zoey Stark, Trish Stratus in her corner, against Natalya. Natty applied a sharpshooter, which was about the only thing that got even a mild reaction here in this match. Zoey, though, got a rope break from the sharpshooter. Stark rolled to the outside, so Natty shoved her back into the ring, and she looked over at Trish, and she said, stay out of it. And Natty climbed up on the apron, and when she did, Stratus kicked her leg. She kicked her leg out of her leg. And that happened while the referee was occupied with Zoey Stark, so the referee did not see this. Stark then finished Natty off with the Z360 and pinned her to qualify for Money in the Bank. Pretty dull match. Crowd was silent for it. Nothing special. I would love
It's
to
know. The amazing Gunther. Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther. All hail the mighty Gunther, my son Zachariah, with the $49.99 super chat. All bow down at the altar of Gunther, my good friend Gunther, at the best match of the night. I'm very proud of that young man.
Zachariah, thank you for that, man. $50 super chat drop from Zachariah Sitchin. Yes. So see, now we have the Gunther emoji for all of our channel members. So it's so small. It looks like, oh my God, who was it? Was it Lino? I think it was Lino. It looks like Lino from Thundercats. It's so small. But that is the emoji for it. Again, Zachariah, thank you. What I was going to say is, I would love to know why Trish Stratus and Zoey Stark could come out during Becky Lynch's match and distract her and try to cost her a win, really, in her qualifying match. And here, Becky Lynch leaves them alone and doesn't come out. Or doesn't even come out to try to get her hands on Trish after what happened to her at Night of Champions. Where was Becky? There was no mention of her being attacked. There was no mention of her leaving the building. Made no sense why she wouldn't come out just like they came out during her match. So then Paul Heyman was in the back. He was in one of the dressing rooms. He was all by himself. He was looking into the camera. And all I could think when I saw Paul, I said, oh, hey, look, he got another visitor's pass. Back on Monday Night Raw. You know what? I'm thinking, would it not have been wiser for a man who calls himself the wise man to negotiate himself into being drafted as a free agent? So that way he can freely go back and forth between all the shows. And logically, it would make sense. Brock Lesnar was a free agent. Fucking Von Wagner was a free agent. Baron Corbin's a free agent. Mustafa Ali is a free agent. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, who got murdered tonight, they're free agents. Paul Heyman should have been a free agent too. So he invited us to join him this Friday on SmackDown, where he said a family drama would play out when Jey Uso makes his historic choice. Heyman said that Jey would choose to stand by his brother, Solo. Heyman said that you can share a womb with Jimmy, but Jey will never be closer in life to Jimmy than he is to his tribal chief. He said that Jey would acknowledge that fact on Friday's SmackDown. I'll bet you $1 that he won't. 3 million viewers on Friday. You bet your ass they're going to milk the shit out of these Bloodline segments. I would do the same thing every single week. Or Bloodline drama. What Bloodline drama can we come up with for SmackDown this week? 3 million viewers. Of course they're going to do that. Veer and Sanga induced share against Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander never got started. They attacked Alexander and Benjamin before the bell. They put Alexander down in the middle of the ring with their finish. The referee checked on Cedric. Even before they hit him with the finish, he checked on Cedric and called the match off. He was too injured to continue. I think Shelton Benjamin literally took, one boot to the face. Apparently these men were too injured. So we never got the match. This actually felt like maybe their time got cut, but who knows? Perhaps we'll find out that that was one of those Vince McMahon things where he said, let's just cut right to the chase. I don't know. It just felt like they may have had more, even if they had more planned. These guys have been squashing people for weeks. The match would have gone maybe 90 seconds. So maybe that's what they intended the whole time. But so far they're doing a good job as far as Veer and Sanga, building them up as monsters. Alexander and Benjamin, they're just crash test dummies at this point. Whatever Hurt Business reunion they were kind of sort of teasing. And they did plenty of segments backstage with MVP and showing him talking with Benjamin and talking with Alexander. That's not just rumor on the internet and rumor on social media. They clearly wanted you to think for a while there, going back a few months, that the Hurt Business was going to reunite, and something happened. Something happened, and clearly that plan got scrapped. So now this is what they're doing on Raw. And then it was time for the main event. It was Seth Rollins defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Damian Priest, with the Judgment Day banned from ringside. Not really banned, but again, Priest agreed that Balor and the rest of them would stay in the back. I don't know how many of you noticed Damian Priest rocking some Scott Hall-inspired tights from the Outsider days. I love it. I love to see it. I mean, he already uses the Razor's Edge in his arsenal. He's a big Scott Hall guy, so not surprising. Rollins put Priest down with a sling blade, was playing to the crowd while Priest rolled to the floor. Rollins went for a suicide dive. Priest caught him and executed a flatliner onto the announce desk. And that took us into the final commercial break of the night. Rollins eventually fired back with a superplex, rolled into a Falcon Arrow attempt that got stuffed by Priest. He was going to power out of it, but Rollins threw a knee to the head and hit the move anyway. So that was a cool sequence. Priest ended up on the floor. Rollins hit him with 3 suicide dives. After staying on his feet, taking the first 2, Priest got sent flying over the announce desk. Back inside, Rollins went up top. He connected with a frog splash for a close near fall. Priest set up for a Razor's Edge. Rollins slipped out, but Priest grabbed Rollins by the throat for the South of Heaven finish, which Rollins avoided. Rollins went to the ropes. He got blasted by a spin kick. And Damian Priest actually hit a Hurricane Rana off the ropes. Took Seth Rollins all the way down to the mat. Priest was clubbing Rollins with 2 clotheslines, went for a third. Rollins, though, flipped over, landed on his feet. That's a Will Ospreay move right there. Rollins and Ospreay were going back and forth on social media when Rollins heard that, Ospreay wanted to work with him like in a perfect world scenario. That's a Will Ospreay move
Rich
right
over
there.
here.
Oh boy, look at
all
this
money on me. Hey,
This is a Fahad
I just
move
want
right
you to
here.
know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Fahad coming in with a $120 super chat bomb. Dropping bombs on a Monday night. It's only a Monday, man. The week just got started. We're already getting bombed here. No message. Just dropping love. Fahad, thank you, man. You are, I don't know what you are. How shall I describe Fahad? Fahad is the man. That's how I describe him. Fahad is the man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, as Quizzical says in the chat, Fahad donates and leaves. We appreciate you. So, as I was saying, Rollins flips over, lands on his feet, gets the double underhook, hits the pedigree, and only got a near fall out of it. Rollins then delivered a nasty-looking buckle bomb to Damian Priest, but not in the corner. He delivered it on the floor. This is the same move that he injured Finn Balor with at SummerSlam back in 2016 that forced Balor to have to relinquish the Universal title the very next night after he won it. And why they insist on tempting fate like that, I will never know. It was a stupid move 7 years ago, and it's equally as stupid now. It was stupid when he did it to Balor in 2016. It was stupid when he did it to Sting in 2015 and retired him for X number of years, however many years it was. Still stupid today. Finn Balor showed up. Not supposed to be there, but he showed up. He got taken out by a super kick before Rollins got back in the ring. Priest turned Rollins inside out, though, with a clothesline, hit the South of Heaven chokeslam, one-handed. He couldn't use the other arm. He was selling that the arm was injured from the barricade bomb. Priest then glanced down at Balor. He saw that Finn Balor was outside, and he's questioning him like, bro, like, why are you here? He looked genuinely upset to see Finn Balor at ringside. Priest hoisted up Rollins for another Razor's Edge attempt. His arm gave out, though. So Rollins fell on his feet, put Priest down, and then hit the curb stomp for the win to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Good main event. It got off to a slow start, but it really picked up, I thought, in those final few minutes. It was not better than the Gunther-Kevin Owens match, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match. Balor got in the ring when the match was over, as they were going off the air, to confront Seth Rollins. They had a face-to-face stare-down in the ring together. And it felt like they are positioning Finn Balor probably at Money in the Bank as the next challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship. But I said earlier, we've got Bloodline drama on Fridays. We might have Judgment Day drama now. In fact, we do have Judgment Day drama now on Mondays based on a couple of things that happened here on this show. And it started in the opening segment when Balor was about to go off on Rollins and say, you don't call the shots around here. You don't tell us what to do. And Priest cut him off and said, I accept your terms to not have the other members of the Judgment Day at ringside for our match. And Balor shot him a dirty look like, whoa, what are you doing here? That was the first sign. Here, what are you doing here? Right? Damian Priest wants to know, you're not supposed to be down here. I don't want your help. I don't need your help. So clearly there is something brewing here. And it looks like Damian Priest is about to be replaced, is what it feels like to me. And that would make me feel very sad because I enjoy seeing all four of these guys together. I say guys, I mean, you know what I mean, right? Balor, Priest, Rhea, Dominic. I enjoy seeing them interact with each other. They have turned into one of the more, entertaining parts of the show, especially the way that Dominic has gotten over as a heel and just the whole Rhea-Dominic dynamic. So it would make me sad to see them, break them up, but they may feel like it's time to try Priest out on his own as a babyface again. It's been a while. Yeah, he started out that way, and then he had the heel turn, and honestly, the heel turn was the best thing that could have happened to him. But they may feel like it's time for him to go back out on his own again. He gained a lot of brownie points for the performance that he put in with Bad Bunny at Backlash. That was a huge spot for him to be trusted in a big match like that. And he passed that test. He knocked it out of the park. And I think that helped his cause a lot. And they may look at him now and say, we want to get him prepped to go out on his own and be one of the top baby faces on the show. He's not going to be the top babyface, though. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes are fighting for that spot. So, it makes me think, well, maybe is he better off as a heel? I think for now he is, but it could be that they feel differently and they want to send him in a different direction. The question is, if he gets replaced in the Judgment Day, who do you replace him with? And the name I mentioned, and I'm sure a lot of people have mentioned it at this point, is J.D. McDonough, because J.D. McDonough has history with Finn Balor. Finn Balor is essentially a mentor to him. He's known McDonough since he was a teenager. And so for him to join Balor's crew would make sense. Plus, don't forget, we had that segment. They've already teased something here because when McDonough was leaving the building with his luggage a few weeks ago, at the tail end of that segment, you saw Finn Balor. He was watching. He was watching McDonough's promo. So that was done for a reason. I don't have an issue if they want JD McDonough to join the Judgment Day. I think JD McDonough in the Judgment Day would work. What I'm not sold on, and again, we don't know that this is going to happen, but if the idea is that Priest is going to be replaced by him, they're going to effectively excommunicate him the way they did to Edge. What I'm not sold on is replacing someone with McDonough. Adding him is different. Priest is a big guy. He's the muscle of the group. He's a big, strong guy. Finn Balor, right? I mean, he's shredded, but not a big guy. Dominic, not a big guy. And then you have Rhea. Priest is the one. It's like Roman Reigns and the Shield. And originally the idea was they wanted, I think Punk was the one maybe who recommended that Chris Hero be part of that crew. And the compromise was, all right, we'll have Rollins and Ambrose, but Vince McMahon wants Roman Reigns, right? And we see how that ended up. Because they saw Roman Reigns and they saw dollar signs. They saw dollar bills and dollar signs in Roman Reigns. But it worked out perfectly that way because Roman was the enforcer of the crew. He was the big, strong looking guy. If you had Chris Hero as part of the Shield, you have three guys who all look the same. They're all indie guys. They all come from the same background. It was the smart move. It was the smart play to have somebody in that group who looked different and did not share that same background. So I think to replace Priest with somebody smaller, physically smaller, who looks like Balor and is about the same size, maybe even a little bit smaller actually than Dominic, but I don't think that works as well. I think you want to have at least one person in that group who stands out above the rest. So I'm not really sold if it's a replacement. But again, we'll see what direction they take this in. I thought overall Raw was a good show tonight. There were parts of the show that were tough to sit through. More so just because it just wasn't very exciting and there was no drama, especially that second Money in the Bank qualifying match. But there was enough good wrestling on the show and segments, and I actually enjoyed the Miz TV segment that I thought it was a good show overall. So let's take a look at the Twitter poll, see what the world thinks, and the world seems to agree. 72.6% thumbs up for Raw tonight, 27.4% thumbs down, with about 800 votes in so far and counting. So go ahead and make your voice heard at Solomonster on Twitter is where you can go to vote in the polls. Say it all the time. You guys know where to go, man. We still got some work to do for Be the Booker. If you want to do Be the Booker later, the goal is 450 tonight. And right now on the likes end, we're right around 390. So we'll see if we make it. We'll see if we make it. It's not looking good, but get those likes up and we will Be the Booker a little bit later on. Let's start out here with Jackie Fowler, who dropped a $24 super chat earlier on. The one record Roman Reigns will break next week is CM Punk's 434-day reign as WWE Champion. Maybe if Roman won the WWE Championship back in 2020 instead of the Universal Championship, he would have passed Pedro Morales by now. I think he would have. I think right around this time, he would have passed Pedro. Naughty Delicious Chicken with Flavor, Seth Rollins' outfit attire was beautiful and golden. And the World Heavyweight title belt has grown on me. I said this when I was talking about Roman's belt, that the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw is the most visually pleasing title now in the entire company. Silver Tower. At least the World Heavyweight title doesn't look like a clone of the other belts. That's exactly right. At least it has its own personality. Max, and I shouted out Max earlier on. Thank you for the $2. Says, you're a jam-up fella. Monsieur Solomonster. Thank you, Maxwell. I appreciate it. Naughty Delicious says Eddie Kingston is part of this year's G1 Climax. Yes, you would know that if you listen to the sound off. I recorded only hours after that was announced yesterday morning at Dominion. It says this is Naughty Delicious Chicken here, saying that the HOG World Heavyweight Championship title belt is more beautiful than the undisputed WWE Universal title. And it's funny, we were talking about championships the other night. I queued something up in case it came up again, so that super chat is perfect. Just for the people who don't know what the House of Glory World, and it's a new belt too, it was only introduced last fall. Our World Championship belt in House of Glory. I got some video here that I want to queue up for you. To give you a view, I think this championship is a gorgeous design. And to me, I would much rather hold this than the championship they presented to Roman Reigns on Friday. I mean, look at this belt. Beautiful belt. And I think part of the problem also is a lot of these WWE belts now, they only have one plate on each side. So I don't know why that became a thing. It used to be 2 plates. Some belts have 3 plates on one side. Now it's just the middle plate, 1 plate here, 1 plate here, and that's it. I don't like that. Not a fan of that. So anyway, that proves Naughty Delicious's point that yes, indeed, the HOG title, it is nicer than the Roman Reigns belt. Luis with the $5 super chat. I love that Kevin Owens has an impromptu attitude tonight. Great match between him and Gunther. Really, that's not what you were telling me in the chat before. You told me it wasn't a very good match. Now you're going back on your word now because I called you out. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you did say that. Now Luis, apparently he's come around. He's come around. Maybe he went back and rewatched the match. I think the point he was making is the finish, which I agree with, but the match itself was very good. Naughty says Ronda Rousey has that go-away heat on her. She's had that go-away heat for a while. Lady Fire Panda with a $20 super chat. After a crappy day yesterday, I once again look to you, Mr. Monster, to provide the joy and entertainment that only you can bring to us. Well, I hope I've done a decent job of that tonight. The Real CSO2 had no idea I was a Sound Off member until I saw your My Rise video went up for channel members. Well, you were one of the random lucky recipients of one of the gifted memberships, so you can thank, well, who knows who, right? Probably Silver Tower, let's be honest, but you can thank one of the many who have been very generous with the gifted memberships. So welcome to the family. And I hope, by the way, when your 30 days of that gifted membership are up, that you will consider renewing on your own and staying a channel. Chris AXC. Do you think any man will strike Rhea on TV? Edge hitting a spear seemed to make the most sense and would avoid a punch. Maybe an Usos super kick. Yeah, it'll happen at some point. Just, remember Nia Jax in the Royal Rumble that year? Everybody was hitting their finish on her. I mean, that wasn't that many years ago. So, she's just been teasing it so much and just tempting fate by telling people, hit me, hit me, hit me. At some point, somebody's going to hit her. Maybe Randy Orton, if he ever comes back. He'll drop her with an RKO. But do I think it's going to happen eventually? Yes, it'll happen eventually. DEH Sire, shocked that Vince was able to sit in Gorilla and not tear up the script. Damian is definitely going babyface and getting replaced by McDonough. Christopher Smith, Gunther against KO was great. Gunther is 94 days away from breaking the IC record. He stole the show tonight. The Ring General is inevitable. The Ring General. He is a Ring General. Only 30 more likes for Be the Booker. That is the update from Christopher in the chat. Christopher says, also, Gunther wrestles such an old school throwback style of wrestling. Yet it is not boring and he makes it look legit. Kind of like how he can win matches with power bombs, rear naked, and clothesline. That's true. Ryan R. Thank you for the super chat. Lady Fire Panda with another 20 spot. My dog Cooper has been getting older and weaker over the years and he can hardly move anymore. He's an American Bulldog boxer and we got him January 1st, 2011. He's been a huge part of my life. I am not ready to say goodbye. I know that feeling. Yeah, I mean, look, no one is ever ready to say goodbye. It's the shittiest thing in the world. The only thing that spared me from having to do that with my cat, she was almost 18, was I waited a little too long. We were trying something else as far as like B12 shots. I was actually giving her injections under her skin in the neck every day. We were trying different things. Walked into the room one day and there she was. But we were probably only a couple of days away from having to make that decision. And, I don't want to say it's easier for something like that to happen and you walk in on that. That's a terrible thing, but it sucks. There's no way around it. So again, we're all thinking about you. The Real CS says it's crazy that Gunther's only pinfall loss in WWE happened to Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series in 2019. We try to forget that happened. We try to forget that was not Gunther. That was Walter. And we'll forget that happened. MH Nova. Start, bench, cut. Tut. Tavish Van Wyck Delta. You know, only the people who watch the Sound of Gamer videos are going to know the Tavish reference. I don't know, but you can bench the Van Wyck. Fuck the Van Wyck. I was actually on the Van Wyck today, funny enough. Funny enough. Brandon Vasquez, who do you think will beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title after he breaks the record? I wish somehow it would still be Sheamus, but he is on SmackDown, of course. Well, I mean, who cares, right? I mean, they don't give a shit about the brand split, so Sheamus. Sheamus. Let Sheamus come to Raw and beat him for the Intercontinental title. Since they don't care about the brand split, neither do I. Zachariah Sitchin with the $49.99. Love it. Your thoughts on Triple H potentially renaming the women's titles to Women's World Champion and WWE Women's Champion on SmackDown? Word is they're supposed to tweak the belt designs, all speculation, but would it be a good idea? That's all it is right now, is speculation. I'm seeing the same speculation that you are. I don't care what they call them. As long as they differentiate them, they don't need to be red and blue. They don't need to be Raw and SmackDown anymore. Clearly, this is going to keep happening. And they're going to have to keep doing these dumb belt swaps. So, yeah, I'm in favor of it. I don't care what they call them. But they have to just get away from the current branding because it's stupid. It's stupid. It's a month after the draft. And we still have the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw. And the Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown. And now the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions on SmackDown. It's ridiculous. Fahad. But to answer your question, yes, it's a good idea. Fahad, again, man, thank you for the $120 super chat. That is amazing. That will never not be amazing. Dan Richards, Brock does not work Pride Month. He is a UFC guy. No one has the guts to tell Brock it is a different Pride. Happy Pride to our LGBT friends. Brock does not, I don't know, maybe Brock is sitting at home and, you know, he's got his little rainbow beanie on his head. Who knows? Who knows? The Mount Vernon Kid. Christopher Bennett, we need more of the riddle we saw tonight. A mixture of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Michelangelo, and Raphael. What say you? Yeah, that's exactly what I said earlier. We need to see that more often. Doesn't have to be all the time, but I definitely think we need to see that side of him more often. As opposed to the other sides of him that I need to see much less of, that sometimes pop up on social media, on my feed. Arabian Night 2000. What's up with Karrion Kross? I thought he was a Triple H guy. Seems like they have nothing for him. Could you see a team with him and Dijak? I think they would mesh well. I don't know how they would mesh. I don't think they've ever even worked together before. So, yeah, you know, mashing two guys together for the sake of doing it, I'm just generally not really a fan of that. It is a weird thing, because Kross was a Triple H guy. And they put a lot into that presentation in NXT of that character. And Triple H saw fit to bring him back, probably thinking he was done dirty on the main roster the first time, which he was. And it's just not clicking. And I don't think you could put all that on Triple H either. I think a lot of it also has to do with Karrion Kross and just the way that he's been presented and the character that he's portraying. I said, you know, when they were in Saudi Arabia that they had these vlogs on the WWE YouTube channel. And even though he didn't wrestle on that show, like LA Knight was there and Karrion Kross and Scarlett were there. And I watched them interact together and just act like normal human beings. And it was so much more appealing to me than this bullshit character shit that they're doing with him on TV that's just not going anywhere. So I just think it's a matter of it's the character just isn't clicking, and if they just go a different way with it and maybe just let him be more like himself, he might have a better chance of connecting with the audience and getting over that way. Some people I know just don't like his work in the ring. They don't see anything special about it, but I think character-wise, there's definitely tweaks that they can make. that might give him a chance, because at this point, if he just keeps doing the same thing he's doing, he's not going anywhere. Other than probably right back to the cut line eventually when they start cutting people again. So they're going to have to try something different. Silver Tower. The Hog World title looks sweet. Much better than the logo belts. With all the resources WWE, they can do better. Such a shame. Well, look, I mean, even if you look at the... here, I'll bring it up one more time. If you look at the Hog belt, I mean, the Hog logo is right in the middle of the belt, but it's not the entire belt. So, like, I know that the you know, the logo branding, WWE, they're never going to get rid of the prominence of the logo, but I just think even the shape of the belt, having additional plates, I mean, there's things you can do to make the belt look less like a toy and more like something that somebody would want to really fight for. They're just so fucking lazy, they don't want to do that. Manuel Macias, it looks like it's a guarantee Roman is staying champion until WrestleMania. Now are you worried about how they will drag it out? Seems difficult to drag it out. I was worried about it the day they fucking did it. That hasn't changed. I hope it all works out for Cody. But it's very clear that unless he gets into Money in the Bank and they do some big swerve, and that's not going to happen, that the earliest that Cody would have World Championship gold would be WrestleMania next year. He's still very over. Crowds still love him. They sing his song. They react to him. I hope for his sake that continues. But I can't tell you that this Brock feud is doing anything for me personally. Moist Kite, buy, rent, or sell. Seinfeld seasons 3, 4, and 5. Bye. Sound like NSYNC now. Bye. Seinfeld is it's the greatest. It's the greatest. You can't make me choose. And to be honest with you, I just don't remember offhand all the episodes, what seasons they were attached to. So I just can't give you an answer. I know all the episodes. I've seen every Seinfeld episode at least 10 times because, you know, syndication, always on television. But what seasons they're attached to, I don't know. So I can't answer that. Wink the Cosmic Grandma with the $10 super chat. 7 years ago, or in New Japan, if you told me Ricochet was going to wrestle Nakamura, it would be must-see. Feels like one kid has all the coolest toys, so doesn't play the ones he's had more than a few days. It's an interesting analogy. The Mount Vernon Kid. Also, you asked once before on a stream, is Street Fighter 6 on Steam? Yes, it is. I noticed that. Yes, thank you. After the stream the other night, I checked. And I downloaded the demo. And it plays great. It's just a matter of finding time to play it. I would consider buying the game. But I played the demo. You only have 2 characters in the demo. But it's a great game. Visually, it's a fun game to play. Again, I only have 1 map, basically, or 2 maps. 2 maps in the demo. But I'm thinking about buying the full game. Oh, it's Bombs Away again with Silver Tower, who just gifted another 20 channel memberships at this point. Because, you know, there's already been a little bit of a drop-off. That's probably from some of the previous gifted memberships. So even though we're over 800, we may end, well, maybe not after tonight, but I was going to say we're going to drop back below 800 soon. But at this rate, we might actually hit 900. And we open up a couple more new emoji slots. Silver Tower, man, holy shit. 20 gifted memberships. It's Christmas every week here on the stream. You don't have to wait until December. Everyone talks about the holiday season. The holiday season is here, man. It's the holiday season every week here on this channel. Every week. Sam, is LA Knight the most over wrestler right now? No. It depends on your definition of over. Roman Reigns is over. 3 million people on SmackDown Friday night. I'd say Roman Reigns is over. But Cody is over. There's multiple people who are over in WWE. Seth Rollins is over. LA Knight is definitely over. I would not say he's the most over wrestler right now. That's not. I don't think that's accurate. Winston Smith, if he asked, would you help Keith Hernandez move? I would. I would help Keith Hernandez move. Partly just because I also want to meet Haji, his cat. I would. I vowed I would not get another cat. I would not get another pet after I lost my last one. Plus, I'm allergic anyway, so. But I would help Keith Hernandez move. Yes, I would. Arabian Knight says, on your podcast talking about the women's roster not being compelling, do you think a reason is Triple H lost a lot of his depth and established women to AEW when he was sick and wasn't in power? Ruby, Athena, Storm, Taya, and Sasha. That's part of the problem, sure. They lost some depth. They have a lot of depth right now in NXT. But yeah, they lost a lot of very talented women. You know, Toni Storm. I still don't know exactly how that all played out. But Toni Storm, basically, she worked a house show one day. She was in a triple threat with Sasha and Charlotte, and then the next day she couldn't wait to get the hell out of there, and she just flew herself home on her own dime and never came back. And surprisingly, they just let her go. They let her out of her contract. Very weird situation, but she obviously saw the writing on the wall and said, I'm just not happy doing this. So they lost Toni. Losing Sasha and Naomi, especially Sasha, I mean, that was a huge loss for that women's division. Huge. And look, it wasn't like WWE fired her, but they made the conditions such that she felt like she had to walk out. But yeah, Athena, Ruby, they lost a lot of talented women, but you can't just lay it all on the women they lost, because there's plenty of women who are still there, and it's all about how you use them. How do you utilize these people? How do you utilize the people that you do have? So I don't want to excuse him just because he lost a bunch of different female stars. And the Dada and Boys podcast says, where's Dom Dom today if Edge were still in the Judgment? I don't know if they would have turned him heel or not. I feel like they would have, but would he be as over? Probably not. I think it's been very important that he hangs out with Finn Balor and that whole crew and learns from them. I'm sure he's sitting under the learning tree every day. So without that, without that influence, he could hang around his father, but I mean, he's got to branch out and do his own thing, and he's been able to do that with the Judgment Day. I think it's also helped him feel more comfortable being on camera and doing promos. So I don't know, he's not as far along as he is now. I don't believe he's as far along as he is now if he does not join the Judgment Day. That was one of the best booking decisions that company made all year. So thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. So we were, where were we before? We were a little under our goal for Be the Booker, but the goal was 450, and we are now at 464. I'm very happy to see that. Thank you guys. It does help very much the video in the algorithm. The more you guys like it, the more you engage with it. Leave a comment, drop a tip after the fact. Tips are open as well. All that shit helps the video out a lot. All right, so let's get into it here. It's time to be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
There he is, the ring general himself. Hey, Austin Tucker in the live chat says, I listened to the full podcast for the first time last night. Had to skip the Dark Side of the Ring part since I haven't watched the episode yet, but the rest was a good listen. Well, Austin, I'm very happy that you enjoyed it. That is the flagship show. Everybody should be listening to the main sound off every Sunday. Some people think that there is no sound off. They just think I just record 3-minute clips and 7-minute clips and just throw them up on the channel. But there's two distinctly different audiences for the sound off. It's fascinating for me to see. But it's always nice to get a message from somebody who has never listened to the full show before, and they listen to it, and then they enjoy it, and they stick with it. So thank you, Austin. I appreciate that. All right, let's kick things off here with the men's Be the Booker. We redeemed ourselves a little bit on Friday because we had a horrible early part of the week last week. We went 0 for 3 back-to-back times. So brand new week, brand new time, fresh start. Here we go. Kick things off with former Ring of Honor World Champion Jay Lethal. Very talented Jay Lethal. I consider that to be a good start. Here to be the Booker. Jay Lethal going to go one-on-one with Bret the Hitman Hart. Oh, I could not hit that bell fast enough. Bret Hart and Jay Lethal. Think Jay Lethal would like to get in the ring with Bret Hart in his prime? I think so. I think you ask any wrestler today, would you like to get in the ring with Bret Hart in his prime? The answer is going to be a resounding yes, I would. Even the women would like to get in the ring. Well, I'm sure they would, but even the ladies would love to wrestle Bret Hart. If you read his book, he's wrestled plenty of ladies over the years on the road. All right, women's Be the Booker. Here we go. Bret Hart is not in women's Be the Booker. Maybe I should add him, though. He does wear pink. We begin with Stephanie McMahon, the mastermind of the women's evolution. Just ask her. She'll tell you. Stephanie McMahon, former WWE CEO for what? About a month? Stephanie McMahon against Hikaru Shida. What do you guys think? Hikaru Shida and Stephanie McMahon. Shida taking the kendo stick to Stephanie. I think Shida would light her up with that kendo stick. I'm feeling generous tonight. 2 for 2. 2 for 2. All right, tag team time. We begin with Miz and Big Show. Now take a look at this photo. I have no recollection of them having both sets of tag team belts. So here we are in 2023. And we have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn walking around with the Raw tag team titles and the SmackDown tag team titles. But before Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn did it, Big Show and Miz did it. And I have no memory of it. So it'll be Show Miz. Is that what they call themselves, right? Show Miz. I think that was their name. Show Miz. Going to defend their unified tag team titles against Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Jurassic Express, former AEW Tag Team Champions, against Show Miz. 3 for 3. I know there's going to be people who disagree with those last two choices. How can you pick both? How can you give the bell to both? So I throw those emojis up. No, Show Miz against the Jurassic Express. I think that'd be a good match. So how about that? After going 0 for 3 back-to-back last week, we start the week going 3-0. We've gone the opposite way now. That's great. I love it. Fantastic. All right, so good show tonight. I thought Raw was a definite improvement from some of the garbage they've given us recently. Hopefully this can continue into Wednesday. Tony Khan, for those who don't know, is going to have an announcement. I know you're shocked. I'm shocked myself. I can't believe it. But Tony Khan is going to have an announcement on Dynamite this Wednesday. And he is going to announce the main event of the very first episode of AEW Collision on June 17th, which may or may not involve CM Punk. I think Punk should wrestle on that show. If he does, who does he wrestle? Does he wrestle Samoa Joe? Does he wrestle Switchblade Jay White? I don't know. Maybe it's not Punk. But Tony Khan will make that announcement on Wednesday. And I cannot believe my eyes, but I just saw, do my eyes deceive me? No, they do not. Bulu Fatulu has renewed his Sound of Legend status, his channel membership here on the channel. Bulu. I mean, I thought Bulu was lost to time. I thought he was gone forever. Bulu is still with us. I'm very happy to see that. There he is. Very happy to see Bulu back with us, even though we're almost done here. So Tony Khan will have that announcement on Wednesday, and we'll be here live after Dynamite, live again on SmackDown on Friday. Apparently another big Bloodline segment is coming. Jey Uso is going to have to make a decision. Whose side is he on, as Bobby Heenan once said? Whose side is Jey Uso on? And we'll get more Money in the Bank qualifying matches as well. Actually, they got 4 of them, I think. We have 4 Money in the Bank qualifiers set up for Friday. Mia Yim is going to... I know Mia Yim is in one of them. Shotzi is in another. Baron Corbin is wrestling Butch. And I forgot the other one. Offhand. But there's 4 of them on Friday. So, a lot of content coming up this week. Of course, on Sunday, episode 812. If you missed episode 811, a lot of good stuff, including my full review of Dark Side of the Ring, the episode season premiere on Chris Candido and Tammy Sitch. As I'm sure many of you know, my favorite subject. Talking about Tammy Sitch. So check out episode 811 of The Sound Off. If you are a channel member, and my God, we have so many new ones. We have over 800 of them. As you can tell there. That's what YouTube told me. But brand new Sound Off Gamer is up for channel members right now. Episode number 8. And as you can see from the thumbnail, I am not a happy camper. I am not... You know that, what's that, the bratty Solomonster super chat from when I was like 5? Yeah, my facial expression hasn't changed much over the last 35 years. Well, I would have been 5 then, so 35 years after that. But anyway, so go check that out. Over an hour of Sound Off Gamer content is there for you. Be well, stay safe. Thank you for all the love, Silver Tower, all of the gifted memberships from you and Paul Hamilton and Fire Panda and everybody tonight. You guys are unbelievable. And Bulu, I hope you are doing well. As soon as I say that, Silver Tower just gifted 10 more channel memberships to send us home. My God. Or as Jim Ross would say, I guess, by God. By God, he's done it again. Silver Tower, thank you. But wait, there's more. Yes, but wait, there's more. All right, though. I'm going to head out and go try to get some sleep. Try being the operative word. But going to bed on a high note here. Silver Tower, thank you very much. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the Dynamite stream. Take care.
Yep, flight's already booked. All the accommodations are taken care of. I'm looking forward to it too. I gotta go, but I will see you in a few weeks. All right, great. Greetings, Commissioner. You know my demands. It seems my money couldn't convince you, but maybe this can. Here's a gift from Carlos Ramirez and I. If you don't give me what I want, this won't be the last. Yours truly, Charles Mason.